is Countdown to Pearl Harbor by Steve Twomey, The 12 Days to the Attack. And this...
You want to do both of yours? You want me to do one?
Well, I mean, I've already said it, so
right,
I'm just about to hit it.
Let me look at the stats while you're introing it.
Countdown to Pearl Harbor. So this book essentially is what it says. It gives you both the American and the Japanese kind of POV of like what's going down in the days leading
does
up.
Not have a lot of reviews.
Oh no! Yeah, go ahead and hit those stats, dude.
I mean, it's got a good rating, 4.27, but only 700 ratings, 800. I'm I don't know how to read. 700 ratings, 100 reviews.
Yeah, so not a popular book, and the reason for that,
pages.
Yeah, not a long book either. Actually, it's a very easy read. The reason for that, a lot when you get into especially World War II, there are just so many books about every single event that happened in World War II. So some of them ended up being really popular and winning awards and all this kind of stuff. This says Pulitzer Prize winner. There's no way it was this book. I mean, not that it's not good enough to have, but I would be
Another
shocked.
one of his books,
I think Steve Twomey just actually won the Pulitzer Prize for something else. This book was fascinating. I gave this... What did I give this?
You gave it a 4.
Okay. I gave it a 4. I think the only reason it didn't get a 5 is because it just... I mean, it just wasn't a perfect book.
Bro, I don't know if he's won a Pulitzer Prize. His other book, this can't be by him. It's a Lightning. It's a book on gastroenterology.
I'm really into gastroenterology and Pearl Harbor.
Maybe it's just the fact that Goodreads is a terrible app, but that's what it says under Goodreads.
Yeah, let's just go ahead and say for the record again, Goodreads is a horrible app.
Oh, it's so bad.
And I have tweeted, every time I see Goodreads tweet some stupid tweet about, oh, it's Friday, what are you reading this weekend? I just tweet at them, when are you guys going to overhaul this app? It's the worst app I've ever used in my life. Close second would be Prime Video, which we've also talked about. Horrible app.
Spotify.
I hate Spotify. That's a hot take, but I'm just an Apple dork. But anyway, so yeah, this book basically, and it's one of these fascinating things where it's hard not to judge and go, how in the world did you guys not catch this before we got absolutely shellacked at Pearl Harbor? But there were just so many little things
It lives in infamy.
that Japan did right and that America totally dropped the ball on. Some specific people really dropped the ball, and I won't get into all the names and what exactly they did, but it is, at the end of a lot of the chapters, not every one of them, you're basically getting an update on this fleet heading to Pearl Harbor, and it's scary because you're reading about the American perspective, and they're like, oh, we heard this chatter, or oh, we think that Japan's definitely about to do something, but it's going to be down. It's going to be the Philippines or something. It's going to be like this. And they're just absolutely booking it to Pearl Harbor. They're not communicating at all with their own people back in Japan, or the ships aren't even communicating with each other. They're having to refuel over and over. They're doing all this stuff basically under the cover of darkness, completely radio silent, so that no one finds out. And they're basically waiting until the last minute. They essentially cut off negotiations with America and quasi-declare war like an hour before the fleet shows up at Pearl Harbor, which, all is fair in love and war, as they say, but they did get a lot of crap for that at the time. But it was like, even as an American, I look at that and go, are we seriously going to go, hey, we're about to bomb Pearl Harbor, get ready? Like, obviously they're not going to do that. Yeah. But just to learn all the little things that either American admirals or officials either made mistakes on or just didn't see from the right perspective, either because of preconceived notions about Japan or about America's power. It's just very interesting. You get a little FDR in there. He loved the Navy, so he was definitely, obviously shook when this happened. But it's just very fascinating to read about because, again, history is hindsight, and you're sitting there going, oh, my gosh, they were so close. They were so close to figuring it out, or Japan was so close to letting the cat out of the bag. And just all the things they did, it just, again, just talking about history in general, it's just such a perspective thing, and, like, realizing that when the world is at war and a nation, whether you're talking about America or Japan, a nation understands that it might be on the brink.
Yeah.
It's just crazy to see what people will do. So yeah, I think this one, as far as recommendation goes, if you have any interest in World War II or Pearl Harbor, I would highly recommend this book because, again, it is a very easy read. It's very comprehensive, but also very engaging. Like I said, I pretty much had chills at the end of every chapter because you get all this information, whether it's about Japan or America or both, and then you get this little end paragraph.
Is it a lot of primary sources? Like, what's the writing style like? Is it a lot of direct quotes? Does it feel like you're reading a story? Or does it feel like you're reading, like, what?
Yeah, you're reading a story. It almost feels like a novel,
Okay.
in that regard, but you're getting a lot of direct quotes. That's the great thing about, and to bring it back to Genghis Khan, that's the great, like, thing about reading more modern history, especially World War II. There is just so much documentation. I mean, we got transcripts of damn near every conversation that occurred in the 1940s. So it's just fascinating to read about. Again, if you're interested in that era at all, especially Pearl Harbor, especially if you want to understand, like, how did this happen? How did we get blindsided so hard?
Yeah.
And it also gives you a bit of perspective about, like, Japan was in a very similar situation, but America was not, like, just top dogging it out here with unlimited resources. Like, they were very concerned that if the cards fell right for Japan or for Nazi Germany, that we were going to be screwed, because we weren't as ahead of the curve as the American people thought, as the newspapers thought, or even as the rest of the world thought, because the rest of the world did think we were more ahead than we were. But there is one really cool thing that I'll reference. I think his name was Nomura, something like that. This was one of the Japanese ambassadors to America. There's a conversation he has in the book. He has several conversations with this guy that's an American official, military official, or politician. He has several conversations with this guy leading up to Pearl Harbor, and there is one conversation that they have where the Japanese ambassador says to him, like, if we can't get these negotiations figured out, like, I don't know what's going to happen. Wink. Like, essentially, like, not
trying to let him know almost.
Essentially. And then
he's not saying nothing's going to happen. Though.
Yeah, he's saying, like, if we can't figure this out, like, he's basically saying we're going to be at war with each other. And, coming from an American an American that wasn't alive at the time, this probably sounds really arrogant or whatever, but it was cool to read about, and naturally does probably fill me with a sense of pride, because the American, rightly so, responds to him like, okay, yeah, if you guys do something, it's going to hurt us, but we can do this longer than you can, is essentially what he says. We will bounce back way better than you can. I mean, the end game on the response to Japan was worse than Pearl Harbor, as we know. Yeah. If you've seen Oppenheimer, I mean, which we got to talk about it. You got to see it soon. But, yeah, so again, I've said this. I'll probably say this a lot. I hate to be like a broken record, but, I read a lot about war and all this stuff. I'm not some, war's awesome. If war happened right now, your boy ain't going, all right? I'm not trying to give this idea that I'm some huge, like, war supporter. I love to read about America killing, the Japanese, anything like that. But again, it is something that happened. And just to kind of go back to the beginning of this video, the capacity of man. Like, what will we do? Yeah. What will we do when we are put back, when you put baby in a corner? What is baby going to do? Yeah. So, yeah, I would highly recommend this. Like I said, short, easy read if you want something to cleanse the palate to any degree, and you like World War II. Not a long read. I took more time than I should just because I've had a lot of time restraints lately. Yeah. But really good read. Countdown to Pearl Harbor, Steve Twomey. That's it for me today.